Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, the September 27th, 2024 edition. Today, we have a very, very special speaker, Nigeal Fisher, who's with us, and she's going to talk about closing the deal for what you are worth. I've seen it. It's awesome. You guys are in for a treat. All right. As a reminder, this event is being recorded and will be uploaded to Career USA YouTube channel in the next 24 to 48 hours. And also as a reminder, I'm a volunteer, and this is Jeff Morris's gig. He continues to improve, and he's been doing this since 2007. He's also the moderator for careerdfw.org and careerusa.org. And he wrote a great book called Your Job Search, which you can buy on Amazon if you don't have a copy. I do. It's great. He's also a member of the pit crew since 2017. Like I said, I'm a volunteer, as is our friend Walt Glass. We are co-moderating while Jeff is recuperating. All right. As usual, the agenda. Any success stories? Anybody land? I don't see any donuts in here. Anybody online? Okay. Any good interviews somebody wants to talk about? Me neither. All right. Let's move on to job leads. Are any recruiters online? I don't see any in the room. All right. Batting 1,000. Okay, now it's time for introductions. We'll start with the people in the room. For those that of you are online, put in the Zoom chat your name, position, email, phone, city, and 2 or 3 target companies for those in the room. Name, title, targets you can help with and what you're looking for. Let's keep this short and sweet so we can give Nigeal as much time as possible. And here is your script.
On the line, up here, we're talking to the microphone, looking to the camera.
There you go, Peter.
Happy Friday, everybody. I am Peter Watts. Services or project delivery management is what I'm looking for. I'm looking at contacts in Addict Consulting for Richardson and Fiberlight LLC. I have contacts at Ericsson, some at Verizon, and Tempest Telecom. I'm happy to share anything or help anybody. My name is Peter Watson.
Thank you, Peter.
Hello, I'm Jim Sinkovic, looking for my next role in HR. I was corporate total rewards. That was my last role, director of total rewards, I feel. Let's see, I'm still looking to see if I can find somebody at Toyota that will talk to me. I haven't succeeded there yet. Most recently, I was at Busy, and if anybody's looking at that, I can connect you with somebody there. Again, my name is Jim Sinkovic.
Thank you, Jim.
My name is Tyler Bauer. I'm looking for a business analyst role. I have contacts at Capgemini. My name is Tyler Bauer.
My name is Rick Harrington. I'm looking for a position as a mathematician analyst. I need contacts at Cambium Assessments. And my name is Rick Harrington. Thank you.
No NSA anymore.
Plus something.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Mike Belzil. So I'm looking for a VPUC director, head of product management or program. So I'm looking for contacts at Keurig Dr. Pepper or Frito-Lay or JP Morgan Chase. So I have contacts at Walmart, Epsilon, and Accenture. So my name is Mike Belzil.
Thank you, Mike.
Hello, my name is Jason Morgan. I'm looking for product owner / product management position. Don't have target companies, anything software development, have contacts, and most recently at Motorola Solutions. My name's Jason Morgan.
Jason, see me after for some development.
Hi, I'm Neil Humphrey. I'm looking for product management roles as well, leadership, director, senior director. I was most recently at MoneyGram, so I've got plenty of contacts there. So I'm looking to stay in the financial services or fintech space if I can. My name's Neil Humphrey.
Hey, Neil.
Morning, I'm George Workins. I am consulting currently. I'm looking for a sales management position, account management. I have a large book of F1000 business and also work with government agencies. Thank you.
Well, you're gonna help me out with those online?
Right. Good morning, everyone. Walt Glass here. So for those of you online, let's start out with you, Patty.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patty Bashy, and I'm looking for an account director, senior customer success manager working at a marketing research company remotely or hybrid here in Phoenix, Arizona. I have contacts at Nielsen and Kantar, and I need contacts at Ipsos, Sago, and also Mark Research. My name is Patty Bashy.
Thank you, Patty. Annabelle.
Hi there, Annabelle Gutierrez. I'm a program manager, and I am looking for contacts at Capital One or Siemens. And I have various contacts. I've come from the telecom industry, so depending on if someone wants contacts from the telecom industry, I can help out there. Annabelle Gutierrez.
Thank you, Annabelle. John.
Morning, all. John Gorman, senior finance professional, background FP&A and risk management. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Drew. Mr. Puckett.
Hello, everybody. I'm Drew Puckett. I'm a marketing marketing analytics manager, and I'm seeking contacts at Proofpoint, and I can help with Intel. My name's Drew Puckett.
Thank you, Drew. Miguel.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Miguel Castillo. I'm looking for a VP Director, Finance FP&A type role, mostly in in Fortune 500 companies. I need contacts at Dr. Pepper, Keurig Dr. Pepper, AT&T, Southwest, and I have contacts at Amazon and American Airlines. My name is Miguel Castillo.
Thank you, Miguel. Rosina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rosina Gallman, and I am your Career Tip of the Week host. I am looking for a position as a senior talent acquisition consultant, or otherwise known as senior recruiter. And I need contacts this week at Goldman Sachs, Deloitte, H-E-B Grocery, and Walmart, either the corporate office or the Texas home office. Again, my name is Rosina Gallman. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosina. We'll see you in a few minutes. Scott.
Good morning, everybody. Scott Boudreau, Certified Planning and Inventory Management. Looking for a supply chain job in central New Jersey or remotely, specializing in inventory control or production planning. There's a part number, I can manage it. If it doesn't, I'll create one. Scott Boudreau.
Thank you, Scott. Chandra.
Chandra? Yes. My name is, I'm sorry.
You're on, Chandra.
Okay. My name is Chandra Thomas, and I am an administrative coordinator, but I'm also trying to go into business of my own. So I'm looking into companies like Blue Cross Blue Shields and RealPage. Again, my name is Chandra Thomas.
Thank you, Chandra. Did I miss anybody online?
Chandra, reach out to me after the meeting on LinkedIn to discuss RealPage.
Okay, thank you.
If anyone's wondering who is 318283, that's the computer. So we don't have that one introduce themselves. AI is not smart enough to do that yet. Matt, you're next.
Good morning. Not nearly as funny as Walt, but I'll try. Matt Keelan, I'm an IT VP or director. I am this week looking for contacts at Kroll, Kroll. Please reach out to me if you have a contact. Thank you. Can you get everyone?
I think that's it, Matt.
All right. And now it's time for the career tip of the week. Rosina, you're up. Rosina?
Sorry, bear with me. Let me get off of mute here. All right, give me one more minute. And then Matt, I'm gonna send you an email because I got a contact, a job lead or a referral lead for you as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so this week's tip of the week, bear with me for one more sec. The title is Expert Advice for Job Seekers in 2024. And so this article is produced by the Forbes contributor, Caroline Castrillon. And so I love this article because it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. We've already been talking about the different things that we should be doing as job seekers, making sure that we are putting strategies in place. As we're doing on this meeting, we're talking about networking with all of our different job seeker partners. And so we know what we're supposed to be doing. So this is just one more reminder, but it's short and sweet. So jobs today, or the job market today, is challenging, as we all know. And if your job search has hit a standstill, you're not alone. While the unemployment rate remains historically low, job growth overall has cooled. In fact, white-collar workers in particular are struggling to find jobs. Data recently published by Vanguard shows that the hiring rate for high-income employees has fallen to the lowest since 2014. And for those in the midst of a job hunt, that means working harder to find a new position. Whether you're trying to bounce back from a layoff or escape a toxic work culture, there are job hunting strategies that can help anyone speed up their job search. Here's a list of do's and don'ts to consider when you're looking for a new role in today's competitive market. First, you do want to leverage AI tools. A successful job search isn't just about working hard, it's also about working smart. Knowing how to leverage AI tools will give you a competitive edge. According to experts, recruiters take only about 6 seconds to scan a resume. To help you craft a stellar resume, use ChatGPT or a service like Kick Resume, which will also enable you to create cover letters. Are you ready to improve your interview skills? LinkedIn offers an interview preparation feature that gives you the ability to practice your answers to interview questions, either by recording a video or writing a response. And then you can get instant AI-powered feedback. So now if you're ready to conduct mock interviews, the job interview training platform, Big Interview, offers a combination of AI-driven mock interviews and expert feedback. Next, you do want to develop your personal brand. In a competitive job market, you need to find ways to stand out and get noticed. That's why personal branding is a game changer for your job search. In a survey conducted by the Harris Poll, 71% of the U.S. hiring decision makers believe that viewing candidates' social media profiles is an effective way to screen applicants. So take the initiative to elevate your personal brand. The first step is to Google yourself in an incognito window. This view is most likely what hiring managers will see. Check to make sure that your online profiles support the qualifications listed in your resume. Then think about your target audience and what makes you an exceptional candidate. By focusing on your unique selling skills or selling points, you'll set yourself apart from the competition and leave a lasting impression. Next, you do want to ask for help. There's no reason to hide the fact that you're looking for a job. In fact, you should do the opposite. Announce on LinkedIn that you are actively looking for a new position. Also, change your LinkedIn settings to enable the open to work feature. That will alert recruiters to the job titles you're interested in, preferred locations, and start date preferences. Also, tell people you're looking. Experts estimate that anyone from anywhere from 50 to 80% of positions are filled through networking. So rekindle connections and reach out to new contacts. Finally, considering hiring a career counselor or career coach. Working with a trained professional can help you gain clarity, set achievable goals, and stay motivated. Next, you don't want to burn out. In a recent survey by iHire, nearly half of job seekers say that their job search negatively impacts their mental health. These results aren't surprising, especially in today's environment, where finding a job requires more effort. Other factors that add to the stress are lengthy hiring processes, getting ghosted by employers, and an uncertain future. To prevent job search anxiety, try to follow a routine, celebrate small wins, and take breaks as needed. Also, nurture yourself in other ways, like through hobbies and spending time with family and friends. As you continue your job hunt, make note of any situations that trigger your anxiety. That way, you can cope better in the future by anticipating your reaction. Next, you don't want to apply to hundreds of jobs. One reason your job hunt may be taking too long is that you have an unfocused strategy. A successful job search requires a targeted approach. Make a list of potential employers and set goals for yourself rather than applying for every position you're qualified for. Set clear objectives. Focus on quality over quantity. And that way, it will be easier to concentrate your efforts and remain energized. And last, don't limit yourself to online applications. While applying for jobs online might seem easy, it's not effective as your primary strategy. One reason is that it's time-consuming and it's boring. In addition, the average job posting has hundreds of applicants, which makes the odds of securing an interview very slim. You also may unknowingly be applying for a ghost job. While these fake jobs appear online, they are either already filled or don't exist. Instead of relying on online job ads, build relationships and leverage your network. Since most open positions aren't even posted online, you'll find yourself more successful and less frustrated. So again, the market is challenging for job seekers right now. And if you find yourself losing momentum, remember to focus on those elements within your control. By remaining optimistic and prioritizing your mental health, the hard work will eventually pay off. This article also adds on, Caroline, she said, are you a woman who needs to help change your career? She has a downloadable free 22-page ebook on how professional women can master their career change. Again, this article is by Caroline Cachalon, and she's a Forbes senior contributor since 2019, and she covers career, entrepreneurship, and women's advanced topics. And again, the title is Expert Advice for Job Seekers in 2024. Enjoy the article and have a fantastic weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Rosina. One thing that I was just reminded of is the incognito mode. You do want to look at your LinkedIn profile once in a while and then in an incognito window because it's different than what you see when you're logged into yourself. So thank you for all those tips. This entire article will be sent as usual to the follow-up email I'll send out after the session today. All right. Walt, tell us about all the good stuff you do.
Today is audio visual. And so I have to do both with the youth and audio learners. I got something for visual learners as well. Well, good morning. My name is Walt Glass, and I'm a retired volunteer. I love to help you increase your capacity for gaining skills and confidence for successful hiring interview. What is a successful hiring interview? A successful hiring interview is when we can present ourselves and sell ourselves effectively. There are three elements to that. I call them I am and do I help. It's who we are, what we do, and how we can help them. So the idea is if we can sell them and show them who we are, our soft skills, our confidence, our culture fit, right? And we can say, here's my experience, my background, my skills, the things that I've done and how I can combine those for saying, and here's the value that I provide. Now I see a lot of resumes they're filled with I-dos. They're filled with some maybe certifications and some knowledge, not a whole lot of I help. So our resume should sell that. Well, guess what? We should sell the same thing in our interview, because that's the value we bring. They don't hire us to be a project manager. That's just what we do. And they need us to be a project manager, and they need that skill, but it's the value we bring that's going to make the difference. And so I designed a workshop back in 2000 when I was downsized in 2000 after 25 years. And I put together a workshop because I really screwed up that first interview. I didn't do any out-help. They asked me one question: Walter, what can you do for me? And that's where it ended. So today I'm helping you do that. Check me out on LinkedIn. As the About section talks about the Interview Success Workshop. It has a Yahoo address on that. And I think you can just send me an email, say, hey, I'd like to sign up, and I'll send you some dates. I'll do it on Zoom on Tuesdays from 9 to 11 Central. There's a QR code there that'll start with the email to me. You fill in a couple of pieces of information if you'd like to get into the workshop. There's some current availability a couple of weeks out now, and so be glad to have you participate. Sign up. This is a workshop where we're learning. We're not squirming. So I call it learning without squirming. That's our focus. And so the visual part today, as one of the men in black, I can help you with the interview attacks. Something I help is the track, so that they will keep asking us back. I'm all class.
Thank you, Walt. Always look forward to that. All right, you want to talk about the pit crew or?
I can. So the Dallas Pit Crew is a formal mock interview practice that is free. It's held on Wednesdays, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's in person at the Christ United Methodist Church. That's the place where we are right now. Except on the fourth Wednesday, it's online. Now in November, since that fourth Wednesday is right before Thanksgiving, it's going to be the week prior. It'll be the third Wednesday, but nonetheless, come and join. Now you can be an observer. You can be a panel interviewer. The requirements are you have to have hired and fired in your history. And you can also be a candidate. So send an email to that dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. I think if you click one time, that'll circle. If I'm not mistaken that. And say, hey, here's my resume job description. You can also look at dallaspitcrew.com, which is a webpage. Take a look at that and give you more information about it. The deal is this, practice early, practice often. Do not wait to practice. Do not wait until you get it. You go, oh, now I need help. Now I need help. Well, you can't do a whole lot of help in a short amount of time. So pick a sample job description or a real job description to practice on. Send that in. Come in. My phrase is every time you practice, we get better. And so you can practice for real and learn that way, which is a little slower. Or you can practice where everybody's on our side. We're all here to help you improve. So I strongly suggest that you also take advantage of the pit crew.
All right. Thank you, Walt. All right.
I want to say one more thing.
Go for it.
Hi, Vicki. Vicki came join us a little late. I just want to say hi to her. Thank you for joining us, Vicki.
Hi, Walt. Good to see you.
All right, today after the session, we'll be having lunch at Jason's Deli over here northwest on Parker Road. Please join us. All right, now for the main event. We are very, very pleased to have Nigeal Fisher joining us to talk about closing the deal for what you're worth and a little bit about salary negotiation.
Thank you, Matt. I bumped the mouse, guys, bear with me. So, good morning and thank you for those that are joining online and thank you for everybody that's here in person. I am Nigeal Stokes Fisher. I am a HR executive. I have managed HR in Canada, the UK, Ireland, the US, you name it, for some of your favorite manufacturers of pharmaceuticals and medical devices. I'm going to chat this morning about the 8 tips for successful salary negotiation. And to drill it down, it's basically how to get what you're worth in this market. But before we do that, I am a brown girl from Mississippi, and I'm a first and third Sunday church baby, so I'm going to pray. If it offends you, I understand. Then you should, when it's your turn to be on the stage, you should just do what makes sense for you. But for me, I'm going to say a quick prayer and then we'll get started. Is that okay? All right. Spirit of the living God, breathe on me so that I might deliver what you've asked me to deliver and that I might help everybody in this room. I know you to be a prayer answering God. I know you to be a job offer God. I know you to be a need God, a providing God. Cover every house that is in this room and represented online and meet all of the needs and go before all of the resumes that we will have suddenly offers and that we will have resumes moved to the top of the pile. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. All right. So with that said, I'm going to kind of put the mic right here so I don't have to hold it because I'm going to use the clicker. And if something gets weird, guys, I don't like standing in this box and I struggle with it, but you'll figure me out in just a second. I really do love when you talk back to me. It is absolutely okay to interrupt me and ask questions. It just works better that way. It ensures that you get what you need and we don't leave anything for, oh, I wish I would have, right? So again, I am Nigeal Stokes Fisher and I have done HR for some of your favorite companies, ADV, YRC, although they no longer exist, DFW Airport. So I think I heard American Airlines in the room, had the opportunity to work with them or whatever and support them in a consulting space. And I have done everything. I have hired, I have fired, I have restructured, I have downsized, I have increased headcount and grown, scaled facilities. I have opened new facilities all over the country. And I actually enjoy it. It is what I do. And I'm kind of an HR executive who's known for moving the needle. I collaborate with leaders in the C-suite to develop strategies that either scale the business or restructure the business and make it, create best places to work for employees. None of that is really important today. That is just the bio of what I have done. So I'm going to jump right in because for time's sake, right, what I think, I lied, I'm not going to do that. And I'll take this back. For time's sake, what I think is important is that we get to what negotiation is. And we just jump right in and talk about, and I'm going to click this and put all of them up so you can see the steps. And then I'll take you through every one of them individually. And I want to start off with saying, how many people in this room would think or online believe that they know what negotiation is? Do you have an idea of what it really is? Anybody? Yes, sir. Somewhat, yes. Okay. I think that's the general thing. So I want to drill it down and make it really simple. 3 words: communication, persuasion, and strategy. That is what it is. Everything that you're hearing, I heard Rosina give a great article that talked about where we are in this job market and what we have to do, and where we are is that you've got to be intentional. I'm going to agree that 100 resumes a week is probably a bad idea. I believe that you should leverage every tool available to you, AI included. You should take your resume, put it in AI, and the job that you want and compare them. If you don't fare at 80% or better, you're probably not going to make it through the ATS for the recruiter to see it. So I know it can be taxing. My lovely assistant for today is Tia. She's sitting in the back of the room and she helped me program my robot on AI. Right. And I suggest if you don't understand AI, don't say, oh my God, that's for this generation. I don't need to use it. You absolutely need to use it. Find a place, find a class, find a workshop and get yourself some knowledge on how to use it, and then spend some time programming your robot, right? Make sense? Okay, so first things first, I like to say to everybody, everybody's talking about your targeted approach. You have a list of companies that you want to work for that you think you can help. As Walt posted out, if you can't tell people how you can help them, you're definitely not going to get to the space where you get to explain your worth. So the only way that you get to that place is to first have successful job application. And then step two, right, is to have wonderful interviews. Then we get to the place where we're hoping that we get an offer. Well, if you find yourself with an offer, before you get there, you've got to know your worth. If I were you, the first question everybody asks me is, Nigel, there's this, we put the job application in and people say to me, oh my goodness, there's a salary question. Should I tell them what my ideal salary is? I'm gonna say one, know your worth. I'm gonna say two, do not tell them what your ideal salary is. You are only applying to jobs that are within your salary range. So as long as you're within the range, an appropriate answer to a question about salary is, my expectations are within the range. Right? Make sense to you guys? Okay. The next thing is, what industry? Yes, sir. 0. 1. It's a whole number and I like it.
Can you repeat the question?
The question in the room was, what happens on application when you're forced to put a number? And I said 0 or 1. They are whole numbers. Right? Because I'm going to show you exactly what happens if you put a number, right? This is proven. So 2 things, understand your industry, and this is a part of knowing your worth of your targeted companies. Companies either lead, lag, or they meet the market, right? I've worked in pharma, they lead the market. I tend to say nobody pays like pharmaceuticals, right? But I can't take those expectations to nonprofits like the Salvation Army. The salary is just not there, right? So you need to figure out where your compromise is on the front end, because the markets, the industries are not going to leverage the same salary caps. And if you see a salary range on a posting, believe that they want to stay there. There may be some wiggle room on the end, but it's probably as they've stated it, particularly in this market. So make sure that you've researched your industry, that you've researched the companies in this little framework, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's pharmaceutical, whether it's retail, whether it's business to business. Just make sure that you understand your industry, their salary caps. And I've included at the end some wonderful websites that you can use to kind of find out if your salary expectations are aligned to the current market. The next thing is, I believe what Walt said, the interview is the very first opportunity, right, to share how you can help share your value. If I were you, just piggybacking off what Walt said, I would start somewhere on my resume, whether it's in your executive summary, whether it's in the summary at the top. I assist companies with whatever your item is, whatever that key thing is that you do that no one else can do. The other thing that I'll tell you is that you hear, oh, I need to stand out. How does Nigeal stand out? Well, Nigeal loves pharmaceuticals. She loves the rigmarole. She loves device and drug acquisition. She loves everything that has to do with drug development. And that is what I do. That is my superpower. Figure out what your superpower is and share it with the employer. Start to share your value at the very first meeting, and that is on the resume, right? Understand what it is, and in your little 3-minute speech, hi, I'm Nigeal Fisher. I help C-suite leaders develop long-term and short-term strategies to create best places to work. I am Nigeal Fisher. I'm looking for contacts in McKesson. Get it down, get it incorporated, and make sure it's something that you can repeat, right? Just on autopilot, right? So make sure that you've got the whole share your value. The reality is that nobody can tell you what you will and won't work for. And I think it's okay to have a solid number in your head, but you need to also understand the things that you will compromise. For me, I would like to work in a remote environment, typically because my roles have a lot of travel because there are multiple facilities. So if I can work in a remote or hybrid, I would actually take less money to be able to work where I wanted to work than if I had to go in an office for 5 days. So make sure that you understand what is truly important to you. I can't tell you that. The reality is that when you go through the interview process, you might find that they change. You might find that what's important to you shifts, because the more, I like to tell people, when you're looking for your targeting employers, your kind of list of the place you want to work, you're getting married. Nobody goes to work to find somebody for 6 months. We're not looking for a place to be for 6 months. We're looking for a place to be for 3 to 5 years. We might be looking for longer than that. And if that's what you're looking for, treat it like you would any other major relationship, right? Look at it like it's a long-term marriage. Start off talking about your value, how you're going to help. Start off talking about things that you love about the organization. That places you in a space where you'll show up very different than any of the other candidates. The things that are very key to know in this market, a lot of people are leaving jobs. It's not that they don't have them, it's that they just want to leave the one they're at. So the market is oversaturated. It's not just the unemployed. Again, there are people that have just decided, oh, I've been here 5 or 10 years. I just want to change, right? And for people who have been downsized, it's very different for us as executives, and I myself am in the same space, right? Is that I've never been downsized and not been able to find a job. People usually recruit me away. So it's a very different space for people who are feeling the effects of that when you're saying, oh, I've got to be intentional. Oh, I need to take each time that I apply and take that job posting and my resume, do a comparison in AI. It is the quickest way to figure out if you'll wind up in the 80th percentile in the ATS. I wish I had better news for you. Tell you that easy apply on LinkedIn will save your life. It will not. Easy apply is a trap, and you can see it when you apply because you will see 100 people have applied in the last 4 minutes. And that ought to tell you that probably 90 of those people have not been intentional. They just clicked the button, the resume that they have loaded in there, they shifted it through, and it makes it very easy for recruiters because to do the 6-second scan that Rosina mentioned, because who can scan a resume in 6 seconds for match? And I've been doing HR a long time, and I've never been able to do that. So the only way that we do that is ATS does the bulk of the work for us and looks for keyword match, and some type of semblance. And I'm gonna tell you, something we used to say at AbbVie, right, Steal with Pride. If you see a sentence in a job posting that says, oh, must post monthly reports for FP&A. If you take that exact sentence and put it in your resume, you 100% match. For that one line, you just got yourself 7 keywords to match up against. So make sure that you steal with pride, right? The third bullet that is so incredibly important is where you start. And you've got to start off super confident in who you are, what you bring to the table, how you can help, and what it is that you want. Do not walk in with this attitude of, oh my God, I lost my job. I just need to find a place to work. We'll read it and we'll screen you right out, right? I am Nigel Stokes-Fisher. The fact that you didn't hire me as the HR executive is really your downfall, right? People love me. I love people. I am God's favorite, right? What I can do for your organization in 6 months is better than any other hire that you will make. I'll make all the rest of the hires easy. I'll collaborate with leaders and make the work relationship seamless. I will work through the ebbs and flows and the issues that you have and speed bumps along the way. And I won't tire, right? Because I have executive platinum with American Airlines. It means I spend most of my life in the air and not on the ground, right? I have a proven sustainable approach. I have recommendations on LinkedIn. If you don't believe that I'm what I say I am, I invite you to dial my references up. You need to walk in super confident in who you are and what you bring to the table. you would be remiss not to do so. You cannot walk in a space of defeat. I know you're unemployed. I know you need a job, but there's a way to go and get it. And it's incorporating all of these steps. One, understanding what you bring to the table. Number one, know your worth and your superpower. Number two, share your value every chance you get. When you send these notes out to emails and you reach out to recruiters, hey, I noticed that you posted a position for a vice president of HR. I'd love to have a 15-minute virtual coffee with you and explain how I could help. Not, I'm your candidate. I can help you. And that is what most of the recruiters want to hear. How can you help? And then you start off and say, in times past, here is what I've done. Let me take you through my resume and let me share with you situations are similar to what you described, because negotiation has everything to do with active listening. It's not where you talk. You got to listen. And the first thing that you do in conversation is repeat back what you heard. If I heard you correctly, you'd like help with. Here is, let me share with you a few ways that I've done that throughout my career. Y'all pregnant with me? Okay, y'all are kind of quiet, so I'm gonna need somebody to talk back, because if you don't, I get squirmish, as Walt said, right? You gotta talk back to me. So the other thing is, when you think about your salary discussion, again, I've said approach this like a marriage, and I don't know if I'm in that box or not. There you go. Okay. Approach this like a marriage. Timing is everything. There's a reason that I do not want you to reveal a salary number before you receive an offer. I want you to skip right past that box that says, please tell me your salary requirements. You don't have any. And the reason I say that is because Matt's heard this before. This is a marriage. You don't know enough. First interview, first pre-screening, you don't know anything about the company. You don't know if it's coming off of restructuring, it's a complete mess and everybody's quit and they're telling you that it's 5 people, but when you get there, it's really just gonna be you and one other person. You don't know anything about the organization yet. You don't know enough to start talking money yet. There's no other negotiation that we would be in where we would bring up money in the beginning. The job search and the interview process is no different. Right? You've got one application, one pre-screen, at least 3 interviews that are in person or online. And then we get to the place where we really want to be and we get a job offer. And that is where we start to talk money, because across that screen in those 3 interviews, we've learned enough about the organization. We now understand the pain points. We now understand if I'm going to be doing this work on site, or if I'm going to be hybrid, or if I'm going to be remote. I now understand, is there another restructuring coming? And it's not just this one facility. It's 3, because trust me, it happens where you go in and it's, oh yeah, you're going to support this one place. And then you get there and you're like, no, oh, we're having a downsize, and now it's 3 facilities that you're responsible for supporting. So make sure that you understand that you do not want to engage in having a conversation on salary requirements, what you want, what you think is adequate before you really understand what the job is, where it will be done, and what the impact is, who you're facing, because who are you communicating to? The other thing that is important to call out is that McKesson is a Fortune 10. A director at McKesson is akin to a VP in a smaller organization. It's important for you to know that. The size of the organization dictates the work. At McKesson, Nigeal will have COEs that will help her do the work. She'll have wonderful people like the head of Total Rewards in here to do all of her salary ranges and to send her data on salary and to give her a lovely system that she can go in and find everything that she needs. If I'm in a startup, I am the salary range creator, right? I am all of the templates creators. I am all of those things. So you need to know, is this a roll up your sleeves or do you have help? Because all of those factors change everything about what you are willing to work for. And again, there is no one number, and you'll find that out today. So, yes, sir. Can I get you this mic or you want me to just repeat it? You can walk right here if you want, Spacey.
I'll speak loudly.
Sure.
From your perspective,
Mhm.
what is a typical HR person thinking when they hear I have no expectation, or I put a 0 or a 1, general.
I think two things. The question for the online folks is, what is the HR person thinking when they see 0, I have no expectation, or they see that you put in a 1? If I like your resume and what you sent me, I'm thinking I need to have a conversation with you. Now, in this conversation, I'm gonna say, tell me your first name again. George. Nigel's gonna ask George, what are your salary requirements? And George is gonna say he has none. Now, we know that's not quite true because he's not willing to work for free. But what George is gonna tell Nigel is, I am within the range. I noticed you posted a range online, Nigel, and my expectations are within the range.
Okay, what if they say what range?
The one that you posted on LinkedIn. I noticed,
Some don't.
okay, so here's the thing. Say, if there's a position that's posted and you do not see salary range on there, say, I'd like to talk about salary when we're further along in the process, if that's okay with you. Right. Right now, it's a little too early. I haven't had a chance to meet you or the team. You haven't had a chance to interact with me. Can we talk about how I might be able to assist?
Good.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
I'm just curious as to why, this is widely known that you're not supposed to talk about salary right off the bat. Why are HR people asking that, like right in the application and right up front?
The market is oversaturated with candidates. It is an employer's market. Hold on. What's your name?
Neil.
Neil has just helped Nigel get to her next point. Okay. So let me tell you what happens, Neil, when you say the salary range. Do you see this right here? Can you guys read that? And if you can't, I'll read it to you. It says, Dear Nigel, thank you for submitting your application for consideration for the Vice President of Human Resources. I'm not going to tell you who, but the people in the room can see who. We appreciate your interest in the organization and the opportunity to review your background. Based on the information you provided us, we are unable to meet your current compensation expectations. This is why I'm telling you 0 or 1 are whole numbers. Does that make sense?
So right out of the bat, they just 86 it, no coming back to the table.
George, guys, for the folks online, George said right out of the bat, they 86'd it and there's no coming back. And George is right. There's no room for a conversation here. If you're in the job market right now, you want to have as many conversations as you can. Pre-screen conversation, interview 1 conversation, interview 2 conversation, interview 3 conversation, right? If not this role, there may be a future role. So just so to put some context around this, COVID created a lot of senior positions. We added a ton of positions. Organizations added a lot of layers because they weren't exactly sure how to manage in COVID. And I was in Europe, so I wasn't here. So it's a little different. We shut down for 12 weeks. We met the parameters that the Irish Council rolled out and we went back to work. So we weren't as quite shut down as the US, but in the US, a lot of companies took a different approach, what they consider to be a safer approach, and nothing is wrong with that. But what that means is that now they're saying, oh, we don't need these layers. Oh, we don't need these roles. Oh, if we combine these positions, then we can still net the same thing. So we're seeing this trend where folks are being downsized or reorged, as they like to call it. And so when you have, there's no way to review, if you're seeing 100+ applicants in the first 30 minutes of a LinkedIn post, you probably saw 800 on the day. We assume, I'm gonna just assume for, just for grins, right, that folks apply between 8 and 5. If it's 100 people in 30 minutes, well, roughly you could have as many as 1,600 applicants, right? But the reality is we haven't seen numbers of 800, 500, 600 applicants since 2008. So it creates this overarching, oh my God, how do I get through all of these? Because we do have to DQ all of you. We do have to put you in a category. Either we're reviewing you, we've presented you to the hiring manager, or you are not a fit for the role. One of the easiest things to say is, I can't meet your salary expectations. And the other thing is, if I review your resume in ATS, Neil, and I see you're not at least an 80% match and your salary expectations are too high, okay, I have two things. I send you a letter that the system auto generates, check all the boxes of the people, right? Put them on a little list, click it, everybody gets the email, and those people are no longer. So I've just reduced the number of applicants that I have, right? And it is the quickest way, and it's not fair. I'm not saying it's the approach that we should have. I'm just telling you it's the one that a lot of employers take and recruiters take because the responses are absolutely overwhelming. There's no way to talk to 800 people for one job. You cannot do it. So you've got to find a way. And the path of least resistance says, let's figure out a reason to DQ them. They didn't meet my threshold of 70 or 80% match in the ATS. Salary is too high. They're in a location where I wouldn't want to relocate them. They're not close. If we need them to come into the office, there are all types of reasons. So this is why I'm saying a lot of what you're hearing, and it's to take not the information, just the information I'm giving today, but it's to take everything that Walt and Matt and the information that Rosina gave you. Yes, use AI, right? Yes, do that. Yes, have a ton of conversations.
I'm using an ATS application called Job Scanner. And it's not very expensive, but it is good. What I'm finding is that for each job that I apply for, I need to run my resume and my cover letter through Job Scan, and it's already, the AI is built in, so I don't have to program anything, which is good.
Okay.
And that makes it really easy to run the job post through that and my resume through that. So that then it matches my resume with the job post.
Okay.
And that's real convenient if that helps anyone. So I've had success with that in the past, and it works great. Not to advertise for them, but that's just one of several tools. If you do a search, you can find different types of AI ATS systems.
Sure. So guys, online, I know you heard, and that's super important. Find the tools that work for you. If you're not a chat GPTer, then use JobScan. But the reality is, find the tools that help you and make your job search easier so you don't get to that space that Rosina shared of burnout. Because the easier you can make it, the better your search will be. And the quicker you can turn around your cover letter and your resume that's custom to that job, right? The quicker you'll land. And if I were you, just HR person recommendation, right? Take your resume as you create it for a company, name that resume Nigeal Fisher McKesson, Nigeal Fisher Excite, Nigeal Fisher, whatever the name of the company is. So if they happen to call you, you find yourself talking to a recruiter, you can pull up that resume, right? And you've practiced your interview, you know what you're worth, you know how to communicate with confidence, what you can help them do, and you understand just reading the job, right, posting, what their issues might be. And at least go through any job posting. This is a Nigeal Fisher trick, right? Take your resume for that organization and mock out, okay, and that posting where you see bullet one, Nigeal, have you ever resized or reorged? Yes, I did this at AbbVie. Yes, I did this at Allergan. Yes, I've done this at YRC. Write down all of the accomplishments that you have that match those bullets. So when you get on the phone with the recruiter, it makes it super simple for you to share your experience and then to position yourself in a place where you're actively sharing your value. And all the times that you've done this and every accomplishment that you have that's in that vein, because that will make it easier for you to sell yourself without selling yourself. Because that's the goal here, is to have a conversation, to show up as a person that can solve all their problems, that's easy to talk to, easy to collaborate with, and they walk away feeling like they know some part of you as a person, not that you're just looking for a job. Make sense?
I have another.
Okay, George.
One thing I've noticed about LinkedIn lately, and one of the things I've noticed about LinkedIn lately is, of course, like when you do when you are on an apply website, not an easy apply, but an apply. So you go to the website, they want to know your LinkedIn URL, and they also have what's called a website. And what I've started to do is use Google Docs. And that way I can post my accomplishments in there that's not on my resume, because then it would be too long. So I think using that type of system where you have a website like Google Docs, because it's free, you just need to create an account. Then you can post your job accomplishments in more detail. And that's what I've started to do as well. On that, when they ask for a website on the
application.
Right.
Okay, so I think you can leverage that box. If there's obviously, as some people say, cover letter, no cover letter. Sometimes I cover letter, sometimes I don't cover letter, depends on honestly how I feel, and what I feel like I need to convey. Make sure that you use every tool that's available to you and what resonates with you. If something that Nigel says doesn't resonate with you, or George says, don't do it. If it does resonate with you, absolutely do it. Leverage your LinkedIn page, and the more active you are, I don't love social media. I love to speak. I would love to help and all of that, but I don't love social media. So I don't TikTok, I don't Facebook, I don't do any of those things. So you don't find me there. If you do, it's not me, because I don't do it. I don't love that. Right. But LinkedIn is a place where you can share professionally. Oh, I had a great meeting today out in Plano, the Plano focus group. We had a great conversation about, guys, here's a few quick tips I learned. You can do those posts on LinkedIn without overselling yourself or feeling like you're doing social media. One of the goals that my coach is saying to me is utilize that a little bit more and make sure that I hashtag it. So I've got like 3 things in my inbox of where she's telling me, hey, write an article about, perhaps you want to post something on LinkedIn about this. Have wonderful and a lot of things to say, but I'm not a social media person. But in order to be active in your job search and to show up on the feed for folks and for recruiters, it is better if you're a bit more active in your search and you post something. Sometimes it's just a repost, because you can absolutely just repost that this meeting is happening. And guys, for those of you that are currently looking for your next opportunity like me, come out and join us. We'd love to have you. You can do those things very simply to maintain your social media presence without feeling like you're, on social media, or you've just got to be a star or center of attention. Does that make sense? Okay. So I went backwards instead of forward, instead of hitting my next, clearly. And guys, I added this slide because I thought it would help a lot of folks, because I feel like people don't really realize that people will DQ you for salary expectations. And I did it for grants. And for that particular position, to be fair to the employer, I am not going to Weatherford. I live in Uptown Dallas. That's just a little too far. And I went 15,000 above what they posted as the range. Right, because I knew I was well outside of it. Had I went 5,000, they could have potentially thought, oh, well, maybe we can talk to her. Maybe we can add a sign-on bonus. Maybe we can do some other things. And I'll tell you about things that you can utilize to say, hey, here's how we bridge the gap. But just for that one, I put in 15,000 above. So just being fair to them, that I went well above what they posted as their range. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is communicating, and I'm doing a lot of that. This is where you clearly articulate your reasons if you need to for a higher salary. So the assumption is that everybody who's going to take these tools and use them, the first part of the process happens in the before you receive a job offer. These bullets kind of talk to what happens on the back end once you've received a job offer, and it's communication, right? Articulate, if you receive an offer, why you believe you would need more. And it can't just be because I used to make that on my last job. It's not a viable reason. And honestly, the market has changed. So you want to make sure that you understand where we are in today's market, what the position will likely bring in today's market. Find 3 similar positions, similar size companies, look at the salary ranges and see how close they are. And it'll give you an idea of what you might have to work with if you're commanding more than what they posted, or more than what they offered you, right? I believe when I say timing is everything, it is. You should not start a salary discussion or a negotiation before you receive an offer. It's just Nigeal guidance. Do with it what you will, but I believe it's timely advice. The next thing you need to think about, and we talked about it a little bit in the front end, like where will this work be done? How much will I be traveling? What all does it encompass, right? What type of industry are we in? Is consider the options. Can you make up what they're asking you in a sign-on bonus? Can they make it up in a traditional bonus structure? Are there likely some stock options or shares that we could add to sweeten the deal? And you need to think about all of those things and how they pull in your total rewards package, because we want to see salary in totality, not in, I just want to make 125,000 or whatever it is a year. Make sure that you're looking holistically at the value of the job offer. 1, will I work from home? 2, is there 0 travel? 3, is there a bonus structure? How is that bonus structure measured? Is it measured in goals, or is it just totally if the organization feels like leveraging something? What is the 401k match? What is the benefits package like? Those are all of the options that you need to consider when you're looking at salary, because salary in and of itself is a holistic concept. It is not just one little piece. There are several key things that go into creating your salary package. And trust me, organizations are extremely powerful. We have a total rewards person sitting in the audience who can tell you that we're thinking about the cost of benefits, and we're thinking about the way that we pull salary together. And it's not just one thing, I want to pay you $150, because there is a back end cost to the organization for insurance for you and your family, and all of those costs are up. And if you have the benefit of a PPO, right? I like to tell people that I don't typically work for benefits because I just so happen to work for YRC, and I fixed all the Teamsters members that I could, and I married the one that I couldn't. And so that gave me wonderful insurance for the rest of my life. So we don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that, but the organization still has to worry about that, the cost of that, because whether Nigeal takes the insurance that they offer or not, they don't know if I might just pop on, I have a family event and I need to hop into the insurance. So they can't say, oh, well, we're not going to give you insurance, so we'll increase the salary. I've got that question in past presentations, and I just want to make sure that I clarify that. Insurance is not a bargaining tool, but there are other things that are. And again, it's work location. It's, are there any equity included? Is there ownership in the company for you? What is the 401k match and things like that? And then what is the work week, right? What are the working hours? Am I working on, I sit in Central Time. Am I working on East Coast or Pacific Time? Right? All of those things matter, because personally, me, if I could find a job where I worked in the Pacific time zone, which means Nigeal doesn't have to be online until 9 o'clock. It just makes better sense for my life, and I would prefer that. But if it's not something that you prefer, right, then don't bargain around it. But make sure that you're looking, I say that to say, make sure that you're looking at any job offer that you receive holistically. Just don't look at it, it's fractionally, if that makes sense. When I ask you to review the benefits, it's everything that I just said, and then think about the dynamic of you and your coworkers and what this position adds to your career from a future perspective, right? Where are you going? Everything about my resume says that I am either looking for a senior director role that has a path toward a vice president or a CHRO, or I'm looking for a vice president of HR role. You need to think about that and communicate your what's in it for you up front. I suggest having that conversation if that's something that's important to you, if future growth is important. Having those conversations with the recruiter early and often, and making sure when you meet with the hiring manager that you guys are aligned, right? If you're just wanting to do this job and you're not worried about future career growth, okay, fine. But if you are, make sure you're communicating that so that the organization knows and the manager knows how to properly develop you. And it might add some layers or help you to decide where your concessions should be, right? Because I might take this job because there's an active path toward VP, and it might pay me a little less now, but what I'm gonna gain or potentially could gain in the future might be worth taking this opportunity. So again, do not just get hung up on salary, because I find that a lot of job seekers are just, oh no, Nigel, I used to make, and I've got to make that and do this, and this market is not that, right? So you want to make sure from a communications perspective that you're being engaging, that you're being intentional, that you're sharing your value, but you're also sharing the things that are important to you. So you can have a 100%, I think, the best match possible with the employer, because some people will say, well, I'm not going to say that, because if I say that, they might not want to hire me, or they might think, or they might feel, right? But I wouldn't do that. I believe that transparency is key, particularly if you're in a leadership position. Be honest about what you want. If it's not a fit, then the eighth tip is be prepared to walk. Then it's just not a fit. And I don't want to be somewhere that's not a great fit for Nigel. I don't want to be in the wrong place. If you've been in this job market for anything more than 90 days, you know you don't want to live here again, and you don't want to go through this again. So the right placement in the right place, in the right corporation, in the right position is extremely important. And make sure that you're not just saying, oh, I'm going to do this and it's going to be a bridge. It might be a long bridge. Because I wish I could tell you, hey, Matt, oh, sorry. Hey, what?
There's a couple questions online.
Sure.
Okay, one is about, well, what would you opt for the stock options of a startup company? How do you figure this out if you should or shouldn't do this?
Patty, if it's a startup, Nigel says they're gonna have thresholds based on positions. So they might say, oh, it's about 30,000 if you're the director, or 50,000 in total. If I were you, Patty, I would figure out what the value of the total amount is and see how much equity it adds to the total offer. So if it's, let's just say it's 180, there's 20,000 in executable options, and you can do that. Find out what the timing is. Is it within 3 years? Is it a 1-year window? Right? And then add that value to your total thing. And does it make sense for you? Dealing with options, I am not a finance person, but there are 100 in this room. Look at what the trend on that stock has been. And the other thing is understand the pipeline, right? What is the likelihood that those options will grow in value and increase in value? Because that's a future promise, in my opinion. And so when we're dealing with the future, right, you kind of just need to know what that trajectory is, and you need to kind of study how well the stock has done since inception.
Okay, she asked one other question.
Sure.
What percentage of jobs do you think are ghost jobs?
I don't know, right? I don't know. I can tell you two things. Sometimes, like right now, we are in, let's see, this is September. We're headed into October. Realistically, jobs will not slow down, but the way we hire as organizations will, because we're going into the space where we renew benefits and open enrollment. And some jobs that you might see that are posted now are 2025 headcount and 2025 budget. Particularly, that will become more important probably in the next month. So I don't know if they're ghost jobs or if they're collecting resumes for a future need. Sometimes organizations will do that because they have positions that they absolutely want to start January 1st to maximize that position in the budget. And so they're collecting those resumes. But I've never done ghost jobs for ghost jobs' sake. I posted jobs for future need because I knew the position was opening within the next 90 days, and I wanted to have my candidates ready and locked in.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was it for now.
Okay, so that's all for now. Guys, if you do have questions, make sure that you share them because I'm more than happy to answer them. So again, our last but tip, rather, I said bullet, but tip is be prepared to walk away. I've had jobs that just were not a fit. I got offered a job to be a vice president of HR out of Massachusetts, and it was with a startup. And the guy said to me that they did not have equity for HR, but every other leader in the room had equity. I personally didn't believe it were fair, and I walked away. I got called 3 more times for the same job, but they still couldn't find the equity. And just being very honest, I couldn't find the time. It's very hard to sit at the table with a room full of leaders and not participate in the equity plan, but you know you are absolutely a part of making the organization great. In my opinion, what happened, what I learned in those conversations is that the organization didn't value HR. And that was my choice. Was it the best choice? Should I have done that? Should I have just gone just for it to be a bridge? I don't think so. I think it absolutely spoke to the way they felt about HR. I think any suggestions I would have made to enrich the organization would have probably maybe fallen back on that sentiment. And that's not the way I best work. So I walked away and gave them opportunity to find somebody, right, who meshed with their mindset toward HR. And I think that's important for you to figure out what your absolute no's are, to know what you absolutely have to have and where it has to come from. I don't mind making up some money in a bonus, but we need to be honest that a bonus is discretionary. It's not guaranteed. And unless somebody is willing to write in your job offer letter that your bonus is guaranteed, you cannot count it toward money made because it's not. And then there are years where I was with Allergan, and when things got bad in the economy in times past, David Pyatt, who I thought was a great CEO, said, I'm not going to give anybody a bonus, myself included, because I want to keep all of the bodies. I want to keep all 15,000 of you. Excellent decision. Didn't make everybody happy. Some people would have preferred the reorg and their bonus. But as an HR leader, I was very ecstatic that he made that choice because it's a noble decision that none of us are going to increase this year because we're all going to stay employed. So you need to think about what you have to have. You need to know your limits. And I would suggest you write them down. So you're not fumbling around when you get the offer about what's important to you. The other thing is, do know that when you submit a counter offer, that there is a chance that the employer could walk. Now, I'm not saying that to scare you because I kind of live my life walking out on a ledge a little bit, right? I found myself in Ireland just by saying, somebody said, you want to go to Galway? You want to go to New Jersey? And I said, oh no, New Jersey's cold. I'll go to Galway, and didn't even know where it was. And then somebody passed me in the hallway and said, Dermot said, hey, I heard you going to my old stomping ground. And I'm like, California, I would never. And then he said, no, Galway, you're going to Ireland. I'm like, oh, I am? Yeah, I gotta go home and tell my husband, hey, we going to Ireland because, you know, I agreed that and didn't even know where it was. I just knew I didn't want to be in New Jersey. And boy, was I shocked when I got to the middle of the winter in Ireland, because it doesn't just come down, the rain, it moves to the side and all across everything, up, down, and sideways, the rain comes, and it is cold. And it is colder than New Jersey, just doesn't have the snow. So there are things that you absolutely have to know. And I wanted to, what I didn't want to do is not provide resources. When I first started to give this presentation, right? I didn't add these. I didn't have a sample counter offer letter. I didn't tell you which perks you could negotiate. And so for today, you all are going to receive this at the end, and you will see this, you will see these letters and see the websites that I'm going to talk about. If you decide, okay, the salary is not what I need and I need to ask for a little bit more, there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can ask for a sign-on bonus, right? And you can be creative with that. I can't get too far down into it because I'm not even sure how much time I have left, but you can ask for half now and half in 90 days. I would like to request the sign-on bonus, right? Because it gives the employer some assurance of your performance. So, and you can say that. So I would take half now and half in 90 days, and it'll make them feel a little bit better about the sign-on bonus. You can also ask for it all up front. When you put together a counter offer, make sure that you understand what it is and you articulate why you're asking. While I appreciate the initial offer amount of whatever that is, based on my experience, skills, and the market rates for similar positions, right? We live in a time where everybody loves data, myself included. I want to know the statistics. I want to know why you feel like this is important. Make sure that you articulate this in this letter, not, hey, thank you for the offer of 100,000, but I need 125. It's just, that's a little bit too edgy, and it doesn't give them warm and fuzzies. And again, guys, because I told you in one of the bullets that communication is key, you want this to feel like a conversation. I know we're online, I know this is an email, but there is absolutely an art form to making your emails feel like a conversation, right? So when you say that, then you say, I believe this figure reflects my qualifications and the value I can bring to the organization. Because again, you got to restate your value proposition. You got to tell them why. And what you're hoping for when you send out a counter offer is you're hoping for a conversation, because we want the recruiter to pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, I got your email and I see what you're saying. Hang on, let me go back to the hiring manager, or let me go back internally to Total Rewards and have a conversation. In most organizations, our resident Total Rewards expert can tell you that Nigeal fills out a form about the offer and he looks it over and then he approves my offer and tells me, okay, because he needs to know what this body, and I mean that this talent, will cost the organization. He needs to assign a cost to the talent that we're hiring. So he's doing some back end work, because the salary, again, is just one component. Other things that you need to be mindful that you can negotiate a better job title. It's not always, counteroffer letters are not always about money. Nigeal has been a senior director in the past. While I would take a director role with McKesson, I would also go back and ask them, could you just make me a senior director, right, to keep my title history the same? It's important to me. Might not make any sense to anybody else, but I would. Because while I know that McKesson is a Fortune 10, and that's very different from a Fortune 1000, Fortune 500, everybody doesn't know it, and I don't want to have to explain it in the future. So if we could keep my title consistent, job duties remain the same, that's a line item I'm willing to negotiate. The other thing is unlimited paid time off. It's a real thing, right? Would you be okay?
Doesn't that have to be consistent? I heard that PTO had to be consistent, at least across one level.
It does have to be true. It does have to be consistent, Matt. Thank you for that. Across level. But here's the thing that you can do. So Nigeal is working in Europe. She has friends in Europe, and she's gonna go back toward the end of this year, right? At the end of next month, she's in Dubai and got a presentation in India. So I might ask you for 30 days of paid time off as a part of the job offer upfront, that I walk in with 4 weeks, right? Because we're at the end of the year and it's the time where folks have holidays. So if anybody in this room accepted an offer October the 1st, I know you want to be off for Thanksgiving. I know you want to be off for Christmas. So asking for those up front, even if it's not unlimited paid time off, you might ask for a certain number of days to be able to manage your holiday plans, right? The next thing is flexible work hours. Some of us have found working in a remote environment that we best work right off hours. We might take a break, work 4 hours during the day, take a break, do some things that are important to us, like go to the gym or just walk around the block and stretch and then come back. And so you might want to work 8 to 12 and then come back at 2 and work 2 to 6. I don't know. That might be super important to you. It might be something that you can negotiate and say, hey, is it okay if I pop in online at night? If you work from home, I personally think those folks work a little bit harder, because their thought is, oh, I can just go back and do that tonight. I'll just log in again at 6 and finish whatever I didn't. We take that approach because we have that flexibility, and so it becomes important. But I also think it's important to state what your normal work habits and cadences are, and share those with the employer, make sure they're okay to accommodate. Because some folks, even though they work remote, the expectation is that you're online from 8 to 4, all right, or 8 to 4:30. Yes, sir.
During the negotiation, what would you recommend as kind of like a timing cadence? What's reasonable?
Repeat that for everybody.
The question is when you're in a negotiation, what would you recommend from a timing perspective in terms of amount of time back and forth, expectation wise, as counters are done? Is my first question. And then my second question would be, how would you recommend, if you do have a competing offer, leveraging that information in a negotiation?
Okay. First is a cadence. I'm going to say lean to the cadence that is the norm for this conversation with the recruiter. Okay. So if you've spoken to this recruiter once a week, then that is your normal cadence, because that is what the communication trend has been, right, throughout this time. If you've spoken to the recruiter once every 2 days, meaning you send them an offer, you send them an email and they respond the same day, right, you would be looking for that matched cadence in a counter offer situation. The other thing is, I'm going to ask you to try to, hey, can we chat about this? Right? Can we schedule some time to talk through this? I have some things. So there's this other tip that some of you might leverage, is to say, I don't know that I want to send a counter offer, but I received the offer and I want to reach out to the recruiter and ask them for a conversation just to talk through it. You can do that. And you'll know if it's the type of organization where you can do that, because again, your cadence and your interaction will drive whether or not you go that route or whether or not you send an email. Okay. Your second question for me was, repeat it one more time. Counter offers in general. Okay. I have never leveraged a counter offer to say, oh, I have another offer from over here, blah, 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 blah. And the reason Nigeal has not is because I feel like the organization could get antsy and say, okay, then, well, they want to really be over there and not be over here, right? So if you're in multiple conversations, I believe where you share that is in the beginning. Right? I'm talking to a few folks, and you can do that in the pre-screen. The recruiter is going to ask you, hey, are you under a non-compete? Who are you talking to? Are you have any active other communications? Share it there, as opposed to trying to leverage, I have another offer that I need to respond to, if that makes sense, right? Start off by saying, yeah, I had a few interviews this week, and lightly, and put it in there. So they understand that your candidate, if they want you, they need to come to the table with an offer, right? And it kind of establishes the fact that your popularity in the market and interest from other employers in the market, as opposed to going back and saying, well, I got a letter from McKesson and they're offering me $175 and this, that, and the other, right? And then if you get into the space with the counter offer, the recruiter is already aware that there's multiple companies that are interested. And then you're asking for things that are important to you in that letter, as opposed to saying the other employer is offering me. Does that make sense? Okay. The other thing is, I think it's super important as an HR person, but I think for any leader, is a learning and development budget. I have coaches that live outside of the organization. I have certifications that are outside of the organization. You need to know if there's a budget for your development annually. Is there an amount that they're willing to spend to develop you, whether it's $1,000 or $2,000, courses that you can take, or coaches that they will be willing to pair you with? This is important in today's time, because as we see technology growing and changing, the evolution of AI, you want to make sure that you stay current on trends and that you're in a space where you're constantly being developed, so you're useful to the organization. You can also ask for the org to comp your professional memberships. I've never worked anywhere where they didn't pay for SHRM or any of those memberships, but you might want to talk about those if those are important to you. And the other thing is transport and travel allowances, especially if there's travel involved. There might be things that are normal for you that are important to you, right? Meaning that I don't take my car to the airport, that I use a service like Uber. for airport travel and things like that, because some folks will think, well, why would you do that? Why would I be seeing an Uber receipt and not a receipt for parking at the airport, right? So just some of those things that could be important to you. I'm gonna pick on Tia because she's sitting over there, but she works out of Dallas and she lives in Dallas, she works out of California. So a transport allowance is super important to her. Her company provides her one, right? Because she's in Dallas and obviously they're in California and it's important to her. And sometimes you do need to structure those, whether again, it's car allowance, transport allowance, whatever that is for you, a service allowance for travel. Does your employer pay for lounges? I think if you're gonna be in the airport and spend 3-4 hours potentially on layover, you ought to be able to go to a lounge and sit and not just sit in the open space in the airport, because a lounge offers you an opportunity to pull out your computer and maybe respond to some emails or work on some ongoing projects. So some of those things might be important in your search, and those are things that you want to ask the employer about, or things that you can negotiate for yourself upfront, so you understand where you are and they understand your expectations. Okay. Any questions while online? Oh, okay. Question?
I have a question.
Hey, Patty, go.
Well, or actually, maybe it's more of a comment. So in regards to negotiation, I've negotiated a lot of things in my previous jobs, and I've been successful at getting them. So my suggestion is you don't ask what you don't get what you don't ask for, right? So one thing that I didn't hear mentioned that I've received is having the company pay for my internet service. I've also had them pay for my phone. I've also had a company car. Like these are all things that, are important, because if you're working from home and for them to pay for half your internet service is because you're on the computer all day, is something else to consider as part of a negotiation. So don't forget some of these other, I guess, things besides just salary or vacation or whatever. So don't forget some of these others.
I've always had a company phone, but that's a great call out that you might want the organization pay for a cell phone. The internet service, I've done the compatibility test, and I believe most organizations are starting to offer an office stipend, is what they call it, a monthly office stipend or allowance that they're adding in for remote workers or folks who work hybrid. But that's a great call out. And then if you can get a car allowance, amen.
I did have a car allowance. It was amen. And I also got a relocation, $10,000 relocation. So you don't get what you don't ask for, folks.
Absolutely. Guys, I've been relocated a few times. Allergan relocated me and gave me $50,000 cash to move from Irving to Waxahachie to work out of Waco, Texas. So there are all types of things that you can negotiate, to Patty's point. And just because she called out relocation, you are eligible if you live more than 50 miles from the employer for relocation. And you just probably need to be keenly aware of that, because it means if you don't participate in the relocation, or you're not cognizant of that, you've got more than an hour drive, and Texas traffic is changing by the minute, and I'm not sure that I'm loving it. So just something to know, right? Which is why we knew Nigeal was never going to Weatherford, Texas. Yes, Matt.
My last job had a stipend. It was almost fully remote, except when I traveled on behalf of clients.
Okay.
It's $50-75 a month for, partial internet, cell phone, and all that. And this is the best part, unlimited access to the Staples account.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could order anything I needed for, something extravagant, like an office chair. And it would show up on my door the next day, which was really nice.
That's super nice.
Yeah, so I think that's the norm. Another comment on, asking for things that make sense. At my last job, we got way down the road with a salary negotiation and came up with a number, and then found out that they didn't have a standard health limit. Everything was high deductible.
Okay.
And I, as a family, knew I was going to hit that for the next couple of years because of things that were going on. So I knew I was going to be down $20,000 over the next 2 years.
Sure.
Because the deductible was $10,000. So I was very honest and said, hey, I know we landed on a number.
Mhm.
However, I didn't realize you didn't have a PBO.
Okay.
I just assumed it was gonna be, I didn't use the word more reasonable. I did not realize, and I know, and we, that up 10.
Sure.
And they said, sure,
That makes
it
sense.
was easy.
That is easy. Guys, if you create a space for conversation with the employer that is grounded in what you can do to help them, right? And then the value that you bring, what you've accomplished in times past, these conversations are some of the easiest because as Matt just said, they're happy to work with you, right? Because you're having a fireside chat. And I would say as quick as you can, establish communications that mimic a fireside chat and not a business deal. Nobody wants to feel like, oh my God, this is a business deal or a checklist for anybody. Insurance costs are very real. Those are things that I would be asking for in the very first conversation. Would you mind sharing some information about your insurance? Right, or your 401k match and your benefits, because if I can see your benefits proposition, I can kind of define if there's any out-of-pocket cost for me. I think the addition of a Staples allowance or account is amazing. One call out I would share is you will not be adding any numbers to my cell phone. I do not want to use my personal cell phone for the company at all. It is, I think, a lot of times it could be a recipe for disaster, cross-pollinating that information. My preference is for a company issued cell phone. Or if I needed to just get another one, maybe Spectrum or whoever, right? I'd get another one for them and that they would pay for that falls in with their budget. But typically I don't recommend the cross-pollination for cell phones. Other questions?
Just a comment.
Sure.
I had mentioned to some people about my nephew. He had landed a job and they had an offer. He accepted it to start, but he also was retired military. And the military came back and said, we'll promote you to brigadier general and you work in DC for 2 weeks a quarter. Well, the short story is when he went back to discuss that with him and said, I think I can do both. He found out and said, oh no. We have 2 levels above you that we're planning for you to take in the future. And so we'll let you know when you're on that path, but we're hiring you for the level today and 2 levels up. So he discovered that in the discussion. So other things might come up during that negotiation. When he said, oh, well, I got 2 weeks of course. Oh yeah, here, go ahead, do it. So nice information.
Good. I'm going to tell you now, if there's a company that you're looking to work with and they're not looking at in the future where you'll be in the future, it'd be weird to me. For me personally, right? I want to know where I'm going and I'm very upfront about the path that I'd like to take, right? I'm not the HR business partner that you're hiring for the next 5 years that just wants to sit in the same position. I want to grow, I want to develop, and I want an active voice in the C-suite. I want an active voice and opportunity to shape policy for the future of the organization. I would say be very honest and transparent about what it is that you expect, and then ask and engage in conversations with the potential employer about how they see you. To Walt's point, today, tomorrow, and in the next 3 to 5, because most employers hire for what we're going to be doing in the next 36 to 60 months and not just for today. So, okay, I'm going to give you some resources. I got 10 minutes, guys, and I think this is my last slide. But this is a list of places where you can find salary information. It is up to date. There is the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's just basic wage and position data. You can see how the job market is faring and where the trends are in this job market. There is pay scale where you can get salary data. There's job search intelligence. That's a salary calculator. So you can pull that up and look at, okay, if my salary is this and I can put in projected costs, you can see what your net is going to be. There's Salary Expert, ZipRecruiter, Salary.com. All of these have a free component. Some of them also have a paid component. If you want information that's important for you to drill down and to get more intricate, you might have to pay, but your basic information you can find using these websites. The other thing is, I believe Google is awesome. You can absolutely Google, what is the salary for? Or you can ask Chat GPT or ask AI, which was my favorite before I met Chat GPT. 4.0 is like talking to a Rhodes Scholar. 3.5 is like having your general conversation. So if you want to improve your cover letter or your resume, use 4.0. If you want to and just make a post for LinkedIn, 3.5 might be okay because it uses your everyday language, right? That is good for conversation. This is my very last slide outside of if you thought I'm a person that you want to connect with on LinkedIn. If you have questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking in this room, you should scan that QCR code and we should link up. I am human and I do not remember every name and face. So if you tell me that you met me today, I will likely go ahead and accept your request quicker than I will some others because I'm aware that we have a certain number of seats and LinkedIn just refreshed. So you all should know that if you had any inactive contents on your LinkedIn profile, they might have removed them. So you might have space. And I'm one of those folks that needed space. So I'm always looking for great connections. So you can scan that QCR code and we can get to chatting. Again, if you have any questions or comments or ways you thought that I can improve, you can share those with me there as well. Matt, do you need me to say or do anything else? And is there a survey for today?
Thank you very much. We do not have a survey.
Okay.
But I do have another question.
Sure.
I had an unusual situation recently where I knew going into an interview with the recruiter of the company that it was going to be lean. I checked out their 10K. They've lost $32 million the previous quarter. They recently canceled one of their pension plans. And so I was prepared, you know, with a 0 or 1 when they asked me about, but they actually led with, I want to make sure that we're in line, that we're not going to waste each other's time. The salary range is this.
Okay.
And it was only a $10,000 range and it was very low. Like 50 below what I was making. So I said, wow, that's pretty low. Can we discuss a potential bonus? Oh, we don't offer bonuses. Oh, okay. So I said, so this is the range that I would like to discuss. And, you know, we can narrow it down once I understand the rest of the benefits.
Sure.
Could I handle that any better?
I don't think so.
Because they forced my hand. I had to give them something. And it was definitely, you know, I hear what you're saying and I, you know, love the 0 and the 1 and all that. But I was forced into it.
I would be honest with well, for me, people will say, Nigeal, what is your range? And I say, what George says, I don't have one, which is not exactly true. I usually lend to, if you posted a range, I'm within that, but here's what I used to make. And you can decide, and it's arrogant and it's not for everybody, but you can decide if you can afford a Mac or Nigeal. This is what I used to make. I'm not gonna go 40,000 the other way. Because we're never, well, we could get to the other space, but it's difficult. It's a difficult climb to get back, if you will, from where you fell from. I went into my last position role with Irenia and they offered me, I think 180 or something, and I wanted 195, but that's fine. We made it with the 180. When I went in and actually started working, 30 days later, they gave me $30,000 because they were like, yeah, we did this wrong. So it does work in both ways, right? But I don't believe that you should accept going that far back because two things, Matt, you and I both know if they dropped all those, they've done a reorg and they've decreased by 30-something%. And then it's just a lean department. Now it's just you. It's Matt department of 1. So now that's more work than we reasonably would have done for the old salary, right, up to 10 or to 25, whatever it was. So now I'm gonna have more work, $50,000 less. I am not gonna be happy. And all I'm gonna be doing is thinking about where I'm gonna apply to go to next and how I'm gonna explain I was only here for 1 month. Right,
I was also concerned about how I was gonna recruit.
right, because that's
If they're
exactly
doing this to me.
me.
How am I gonna build a team?
Right. And if you're like me, and I believe you are, we have folks that we've worked with before. And we'll have to recruit them away, or a team that we've worked with and talent we've leveraged before that we might want to bring with us. And I can't bring them without the budget, and that's just that's the honesty. And so if you know that it's bad up front, you say it's just really not a fit. So I don't think there's any better way you can handle it. You were honest, they were honest, and it didn't mesh. And for me, I would have just said, yeah, no, I'm gonna wait. Because I believe there's an opportunity that'll resonate with me. And if there's a gap, it won't be this. This is not a bridge, right? This is a highway. This is a Texas to California. It's too far. It's just too far apart. And you gotta be honest about that. And I think that's what we want job seekers to know, is that you get to walk in the room and be transparent, guys, just like you want the company to be transparent. Don't take something for something's sake. I can absolutely understand a bridge job. Everybody in this room has had to done it. If you live long enough and you hadn't, you will. But it should not be a permanent career home. And you absolutely need to figure out how to pivot. You need to know how you're gonna pivot before you accept it, because there really is no going back to the drawing board after you've accepted, you've been there for a month. You will just look like a bad hire. Well, this is way more work than you told me, and I can't hire anybody. Now I'm complaining and I'm not happy. And I can't even meet what I've promised or deliver what I've promised because I don't have the salary structure or budget to do it. It's too many negatives for me. So I would pivot and just say, hey guys, at this time, we're not aligned. Now, should you find the resources to properly build out your IT function, I'd be excited to help you. And maybe I'll just have a conversation with you. Let me reach out and let's reconnect in 90 days. And you do it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
There's a question. Ask Lisa to unmute.
Okay.
Yes, Lisa.
Oh, ask Lisa. Can you unmute to ask your question, Lisa? Lisa, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Hello, I'm Valisa. So I just wanted to make a couple comments along the relocation negotiation. I actually interviewed with someone and they said from the very beginning, like their salary range was firm. They weren't gonna offer relocation because I was obviously in a different state. But anyway, because time restraints, by the time we got to the end of the negotiation, they raised the salary and paid for my relocation. So even if they say it's firm, sometimes if what you have is what they want, they'll make it work. I wanted to say that.
Absolutely. I would tell you like they tell Lisa and everybody in this room. I said it was a marriage for a reason. It's Steve Harvey gets this thing where he says every man that you meet will change, but he'll only change for one woman. Employees are the same way. They only change for their candidate. If it's their candidate and they have need of a skill set that you have, they'll change for you. They'll absolutely pivot from things they said in the very beginning. It happened to me at Arenia. It happened to me at Allergan. I started off with a relocation package. When I went back and said, hey guys, I don't know that I want to live in Waco. I have family that's in Dallas, but I don't mind commuting up to 1 hour, and Waxahachie is that place. They turn the relocation package in from a home buyers to $50,000 cash, and you build a house wherever you like, so long as you're here. And I did that drive for well over almost 4 years. And honestly, I started off commuting to Waco from Irving. It was 1 hour and 40 minutes each way. So they knew I was committed to the opportunity and they had no problem meeting me in the middle. And the other thing is that employers will meet your demands if they feel like you have a skill set that can get the organization navigate a time period that no other candidate that they've met can. So this is why you start off selling your value and talking about how you can assist and your accomplishments in similar situations in times past. Any final closing thoughts? We're at time, I believe. No? Okay. Well, guys, I appreciate your time. I am Nigel Stokes Fisher, and it was a pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Let's finish up real quick. All right, just a reminder that careerdfw.org is your friend. Go there every Sunday night. Click on calendar, look at all the events coming up throughout the week. Looks like this or this. There's 5 to 10 things going on every single day. So find the things that you want to attend, click on it, it'll open up. It'll give you the time, location, and a Zoom link if applicable. Jeff also has a terrific resource at YouTube. He's got a Career USA channel. Here's the address right here. Click on playlists. And for this group, you can click on view playlist and you can see every speaker that was here for the last 10 years. Also, here's the LinkedIn Tuesday recordings. If you haven't attended that, that's a great resource as well. And that's in the calendar. And oh, look at that handsome guy right there. If you want to take a look at Walt's 13-part workshop on interviewing, it is there as well. Right. Coming up on Tuesday, LinkedIn Tuesday, Terry Sullivan is going to join us. He's the one LinkedIn Tuesday person that does not allow us to record, so please attend either. It's 100% online, so if you want to see him, and I recommend him, he is God's gift to LinkedIn. Check him out, but you do need to attend. No recording allowed. And there's a little bit about Terry. And then on Wednesday, the pit crew, we discussed that practice interview team. Please come and check us out. We recommend that you come a few times and observe other people being interviewed. And then when you're ready, reach out to dallaspitcrew.com and schedule your own interview. Next week, we are going to have open forum. The week after, Life Lessons with Steve Zipkoff. Week after that, Making a Career Pivot with Clayton Stockdill, which is online only. He'll be online, and both Walt and I will be out. So make a note that Friday, 10/18 is online only. We will send reminders prior to that. And then on 10/25, Pete Hernandez and Mike Ray of South Lake Focus fame are going to come and talk about identifying, researching, and networking into target companies and online resources to help you do that. It's good stuff. I've seen that as well. All right. And a reminder that lunch today is at Jason's Deli after the session. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remember to save the chat.
Thank you.